There are moments as a voice actor where you look at the script and you're just like, oh, I'm voicing a polka dotted monkey who is trying to stop a waterfall with lightning blasts. Like, sure, well, this isn't brain surgery. Let's all just have a laugh, calm down. This is a good time.
You're listening to the Voiceover Casting Corner, a podcast and question and answer session recorded live every month. VCC is brought to you by The Voicecaster. The Voicecaster casts thousands of voices every year across all genres, and we're excited to give you an inside look at the casting process direct from our casting team.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Voiceover Casting Corner. My name is Kelly Moshinsky. I am the owner and head of casting at The Voicecaster.
And I'm Kathryn Horan. I'm the Senior Casting Director here at The Voicecaster.
And with us today, we have the amazing JP Karliak. He is a voice actor. He is also the founder of QueerVox and Nerds Vote. So we are going to have all kinds of questions for him, some great conversation, and I'm excited that we get to share him with you.
Voiceover actor, activist, and snappy dresser, JP is the founder and president of QueerVox, a nonprofit training academy and community for LGBTQIA voice talent that advocates for authentic and equitable casting opportunities. JP has also been the voice of such iconic characters as Wile E. Coyote, the Tin Man, Willy Wonka, Entropy, the Boss Baby, the Joker, Rosamel and Gargamel in the Smurfs, as well as a bunch of Marvel heroes and villains like Loki, Hawkeye, the Vision, the non-binary shapeshifter Morph from X-Men 97, and the exceptionally nasty Green Goblin in Spidey and His Amazing Friends. Also, a political junkie, JP and voiceover pal Courtney Taylor are co-founders of the nonpartisan organization Nerds Vote, linking gamers, cosplayers, congoers, and pop culture fans of all kinds to voter registration opportunities. JP hails from Dunmore, Pennsylvania, neighbor of Scranton, the Electric City, and is an alum of the USC School of Dramatic Arts. He loves pie, his husband Scott, his dog Stanley Poochie, and pie.
Emphasis on pie.
Yes.
I love that. I love your dog's name.
Oh, he's horrible. We love him. It's terrible.
The best ones aren't they?
Really.
What a list of credits. I mean, the Smurfs, when I saw that, I was like, that's so awesome. Like so exciting. I want to hear more about how you got started in voiceover. How did this whole journey begin for you?
I mean, I was a lover of cartoons when I was a little kid. He-Man was the first cartoon that I became obsessed with, and everything on Saturday mornings. I loved Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Batman the Animated Series, and the Looney Tunes all day, all night. But I don't think I equated that with something that felt like a real job. It felt like, oh, this must be a fancy thing, like a perk that they give to big on-camera celebrities when they are famous. So let me go become that, and then they will let me do that. Just strange logic track. But that's sort of the journey that I went on. And I went to college for theater. I started at Catholic University in DC, and then I transferred to USC, wanting more of an on-camera focus to become Hollywood famous. And luckily, I had a professor, Kelly Ward, who also works in animation, who was like, you could maybe just audition and skip the becoming famous part. And I'm like, oh, well, sure. And then I started training. My early teachers were Carrie Tombazian, Ginny McSwain, Bill Holmes, and my mentor, Bob Bergen, who helped me to get my first agent, which was what was then Sandy Schnarr Talent. 20 years later, here I am.
Awesome. That's amazing. What was your first job in voiceover?
So my first gig was, I remember this distinctly. It was a video game. It was called Worlds in Conflict. And I think it was a Tom Clancy like war game type of deal. And I was basically, the premise of it was Russia invades the United States through the Pacific Northwest. Seems implausible. And And I was like this plucky Portland news reporter who was sort of like the weather person on the street, being like, it's sunny today, and just happens to be downtown on the street when this invasion starts. So he kind of becomes the reporter who's like, filming, like the Anderson Cooper who's filming the war zone, even though he's not for this at all. So ironically, I did this job. I think it was one session. And the game comes out, and I come to find that they went in a different direction. They kind of got rid of a lot of that cutscene storytelling and made it more like almost like a History Channel documentary where they show like the theater of war and show the map and have like a very gravitas narrator talking about what's happening. That narrator was Alec Baldwin, who I would later go on to replace
In the Boss
in
Baby.
Boss. So it's all full circle stuff.
Right?
That's
Uh,
amazing. I love stories like that where it's full circle.
So the Smurfs is huge. Like that's a great gig to get, and you're voicing the two villains, Razamel and Gargamel. So how did you land both roles?
I mean, it's kind of bizarro because I mean, you guys absolutely know, for workhorse voice actors to get roles in feature films like this, it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yep.
It started very ordinarily. I didn't audition. I was brought in along with a bunch of fellow voice actors to do an early table read and some scratch. And I think I read a couple different roles, in the beginning. Among them Razamel, and I got nothing before I walked in the room, so I just made the quick decision, like, okay, Gargamel's brother should sound like Gargamel but be different enough that you could tell them apart. So I thought of Paul Winchell's version from the 80s,
Mhm.
and I just went like, Paul Winchell, very small house, Smurfs, and then so Razamel was much deeper and nastier. Um, and so that's just what I did. And then afterwards, we all did some scratch. And then they brought us back individually to do scratch while they were doing storyboards, getting notes, thinking about the hiring process and figuring out who they were going to cast. And the notes that I kept getting back were, the execs love what you're doing. And I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get like Lazy Smurf who has two lines in the back, one seat." And I was like, yeah, that'll be so cool. Um, and though some of the roles that I had been doing scratch on dropped away, the one that I kept getting was Razamel until finally, my husband and I actually were on the first day of our honeymoon. We were in Athens. We had just arrived. We were exhausted. And he goes down. We just got into the hotel room. He goes down to get a drink, and I get a call from Cynthia from SPV, just like, I have marvelous news. And Scott, my husband, comes upstairs, and I'm like sobbing. He's like, "What happened?" And yeah, so I mean, it really made the honeymoon even better. uh, so that was Gargamel. I mean, that was Razamel. I did not have Gargamel yet, even though I did a little bit of scratch for him. I think somebody else, I don't know who, was doing Gargamel scratch. And then one day I was recording. This was after I booked the role. I was recording some Razamel scenes, and there's an early scene where the two brothers talk to each other, and they were trying to find the audio file of Gargamel to like play them off each other and hear how it sounded. And I don't know if they couldn't find it or they would have had to edit it all in together, and it would have taken a long time. And I was like, do you want me to just do it? And so I just did it. Like, I just did the back and forth of the scene, and they were just mouths agape. And they played that for the executives, and they're like, well, give them that too. So that's how I got booked.
That's awesome. And how was that working back and forth like that? Like, is that
I mean, that's the only time I did it because I
oh, okay.
recommend it.
It's confusing.
But it is, I mean, it is something from an early class that I took from Bob's early class. One of Bob's big exercises that he would have us do was to make a live demo where we were just doing, like our general audition, like characters on the fly. And he was very specific about take that little beat so you can make sure that you're not bleeding one character into the next. Like, it's really clean lines. And even Ginny McSwain years ago, she gave me a piece of copy from, remember The Mask with Jim Carrey? there was a brief animated series version, and she gave me sides from that just to read in this class. And I mean, it was one of those things where it was the character just going thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And, I was just really specific about making those clean lines. So it's something that I kind of I'm very picky about because of that training. So it was easy to do it because I had that, but I don't recommend it all the time. Especially those two voices, because it's going from down here to up here, and it's just like, ugh.
Right, right. Your whole range, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Well, it just shows you never know just doing a scratch track on something where that's gonna lead. So
Never know.
never just phone it in. You never know what could happen.
Yeah.
And so what kind of surprised you most about the process of the Smurfs? It's a big feature film. Anything different from what you usually do?
There's so many surprises. A lot. I mean, getting it, of course, major surprise, even thinking that I could be in the running for something like this. I mean, the working with I it was just me and the director the whole time, just recording. And Chris Miller, super nice. And it was just like this insular little group. It was him, the engineers, one of the animation editor slash supervisor, and also one of the producers. And that was kind of it. It's just us.
Mhm.
Um, so the idea of all these celebrities kind of looming as like, knowing that they were coming in at the hours I was not there, and just like, it was just always just sort of this unknown variable thing, like people are like, "What's Rihanna like?" I'm like, "I have no idea." Um, but I think the biggest surprise about it, and this, I don't want this to come across as in any way ungrateful, but the premiere was the biggest surprise, and I don't mean in a good way. I mean, it was more in the sense of like, for a lot of us voice actors, this is something we dream of. This is like our Mount Everest. This is like,
Mhm.
holy crap, I just made it to the top.
Yeah.
But for everybody else in the movie, this was just like slumming it and collecting a paycheck. And that's not a read. It's just sort of it is, it's like in between two projects, it's like, oh, do a little voiceover. Yay, what fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I didn't really meet any of the cast. There wasn't any of that sense of camaraderie or bonding or like, we are equals, we are peers, we've done this thing together. None of that. So that was, even after 20 years of doing this thing, it was kind of like I felt a little bit like a noob of just being like, "Oh, okay. All right. I get it now." But, I think what my reality check, like positive reality check, was I went to the premiere with my husband, like one of my best friends from college. Also, my dear friend Julie Nathanson came with me, and everybody was just so enthusiastic about it. And opening weekend, the following week, I was in Connecticut with the X-Men cast for a con, and they all went with me to see it in theaters. And they were just so sweet about it. And it's like it reminds you who your people are. Like
Right.
like my voiceover colleagues, I saw Jeff Bergman the day before the premiere, and he was just so enthusiastic. And like Jeff's a hero of mine. I mean, he and Bob were in the original Looney Tunes show that I did with them, and I look up to him, and just for him to be so
That's fun.
gracious and enthusiastic about it. So that's what really means a lot. The validation of Rihanna is not necessarily
Right, right.
the be all and end all, as lovely and amazing as I'm sure she is. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that is one of those things where it's like when we talk about like this community, the voiceover community is incredible. Like it's not like the on-camera side. It's not like the celebrity side, and it's like what you're saying exactly fits into that. It's like, it was a lot of on-camera actors, doing voiceover. It's like, "Oh, I did this little animated
yeah.
thing,"
This is
and
a
it's like,
complete
ah.
and it's a complete switch from what the X-Men 97 premiere was, where we were also excited to meet each other because we recorded it in COVID, so we never
Sure.
met. I mean, I knew some of them beforehand, but like certainly not the original cast who was part of it. And we were just so jazzed to get to hang out. We hung out until like, late to the night just chatting. So yeah, it was definitely you know who your people are.
All right. So let's talk about the advocacy side of your world. You know, you do a lot. You do so much, JP. And it's incredible. You know, it's like you are wearing so many different hats. You know, so let's start with QueerVox. I want to learn more about QueerVox. How did you end up, founding it, and like just tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah. So it was the pandemic and I was bored. And I mean, yes and no. So it was the end of 2020. I was looking for a way to be a stronger advocate in amongst my community. And I had also been having conversations with colleagues, mostly in casting, where we were simultaneously celebrating that there was a increase in queer characters in animation and video games, but also bemoaning the fact that rarely were they authentically cast. And the common refrain was like, well, we just don't know where to find them. And on one hand, I was like, well, I mean, I know they exist.
They're not
On the other hand, it's like, it is one of those things. It's that catch 22 of like, you want to hire people who are experienced and have the training, but they haven't had access to necessarily the training or the opportunities. So, where does one actually get them? So I decided to just start a class. That's all it was originally, was just a pay what you can class taught by me and Sarah Elmale, where I would teach animation, she would teach video games, and less as a be all and end all of voiceover training, but more as a introduction where we also put those mediums through a queer lens, where it's like, let's have you as a queer actor start to think about what are the voices that you want to play? What are the voices that other people might think that you're right for, but you do not want to be considered for, either because of your identity or what your actual range is, etc. And how to advocate for yourself in the space, because most of us don't know, like, we don't know what we don't know. So that's how it started. The class was a really enthusiastic group and they wanted to start a Discord, so we did, and that Discord ballooned and then became the 1,000 plus group of people that it is now, plus our free online talent directory, plus the advocacy that we do on the industry side to educate, people at all levels of what the pipeline of responsibility is when it comes to um, responsibly casting queer people, and keeping in mind authenticity and equitable opportunities. So yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, your panel at VO Atlanta and then just chatting with you at VO Atlanta. I mean, that was enlightening for us, you know? It's
Mhm.
like it's one of those things where as a casting director, I wish people would just be more open and be like, "Hey, like this," and it's like it was so nice to be able to ask your opinion on like just wording and things in specs, because it's like we want that authenticity even on the commercial side. We do a lot of commercial, and it's like we want all of that. We appreciate that too. And honestly, that panel was my favorite one at VO Atlanta. Like it was one of those where I was like, everybody who's in a hiring position needs to be here. Why isn't every casting director and producer that was at VO Atlanta sitting in this room right now? I was like, this
Sunday mornings are hard, but yeah.
yes.
But it's like you said, you don't know what you don't know, and some of this stuff, it's like, well, yeah, nobody talks about it, so you don't realize some of these things are actually issues.
Yeah.
And you're no, and it really is kind of that light bulb moment, of course. Like, why do we do things this way? Why do we word things a certain way? What can we do to make things more inclusive and open and make people feel more welcome to read on what we're doing?
Yeah, we partnered with NAVA along with our sibling organizations, the Voices of Global Majority and the Disabled Voice Actors Database, to create the rules for diverse casting.
Mhm.
And what was so great about that collaborative process was there was so much like, oh my God, yes, like just yes anding everything that everybody was saying, because there is so much crossover in our different communities. Also, because our communities are also intersectional. I mean,
Mhm.
there's so many members of QueerVox who are also members of DVAD, who are also members of VGM. So, um, but not only understanding all of those commonalities, but also just the things that, even though we work in the DEI space, we're also just like, wow, never thought of that. Like, that is, especially like around accessibility issues.
Mhm. Oh,
You
sure.
know, I mean, yeah, you were at the panel in VO Atlanta when we got the question from the woman who represents stuttering actors, and none
Mhm.
of us were really like.
Oh,
We all learned a lesson that day where we were like, you know what, this is not something that we know how to talk about, and we need to educate ourselves.
There's always something we can learn from other people, right? I mean, it's just you have to hear people's stories. You have to be open to talking to people and, just open to things that aren't like you. It's like you have to be open to like that's one of like the things that I love about life and what I get to do is I get
Mhm,
to meet so many different people and like I love hearing everybody's stories, and that's why we're here. It's like I wanna hear your story. I wanna get yeah, yeah.
mhm.
It's just incredible. How do people get involved with QueerVox if they want to?
just go to queervox.org. On our website, there's a join our Discord link. So if you want to be a member, first of all, we say member, but there's no like dues or we don't. At least right now, we don't do that. So you could just join our Discord. We also have a mailing list. If you want to get on our mailing list, you can sign up there. There's also a link to our talent directory if you'd like to upload your demos and have a profile on there. Um, it's accessed by, I think, over 150 different casting offices of all different mediums, from audiobooks to animation, and then everything. Yeah, or if you're just an ally and you want to learn more, just reach out. My email is jp@queervox.org. So, just hit me up.
That's great. I mean, it's awesome that you have open doors like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much gatekeeping that just naturally happens in the industry, financially, identity wise, all sorts of things that we just wanted to provide as much access as possible.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's that access and support. It's like so many people feel like they're doing it alone or they have to conform to something else. And it's like, I love encouraging that authenticity.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, tell us about Nerds Vote. So, how did that get started? What is the mission of this project here?
So, Nerds Vote is Courtney's brainchild, Courtney Taylor. The myth is of our founding is that Courtney was out with Ashley Birch having margaritas, bemoaning the fact that as a very busy, booked and busy voice actor, she wanted to be more active in getting people registered to vote and involved in their democracy, but just couldn't because she was going to so many conventions. And then she was like, light bulb, why don't I bring those opportunities to conventions? And she enlisted me, as she often does. And we started just working with this much larger voter registration organization, Headcount, to liaise with the conventions that we had connections with to get them a booth and get them on site to be able to register people to vote. That's kind of how it started, and that was like the slow start of the snowball. But then the pandemic hit, and we had to pivot, and so we started a much like this, a conversation with voice actors called Between Two Nerds, where we would just chat with people about their career, but also what engages them in voting. Why are they passionate about getting out to vote? And it wasn't from a partisan, like, why are you going to vote for Joe Biden? It was more like, why are you like, what are the issues that are on your mind? And everybody had different answers. For some, it was their kids. For some, it was the environment. For some, it was just inequality of employment, such and so forth. And now in a post-pandemic, post-ish pandemic age, we're doing a bunch of different things. Like this year, we sent our stickers that have QR codes on them to 50 different comic book stores throughout the country for free comic book day in May. And so with all of the customers that they get, we had them distribute these stickers and or have like the QR code at their register so that just getting it in people's brains, because the reason that we feel, even though Courtney and I are liberal as heck, the reason that we feel comfortable running a nonpartisan organization and still feeling confident in the outcome, is that we believe that nerds are generally a very empathetic and caring group that is going to think about, a lot of progressive and liberal causes that think about that, care for the underserved and underrepresented. I think one of the challenges of a nerd population is that they're real into escapism, and we have to find them where they are and be able to just punch a little hole there and be like, "Hey, real world, hi, thought you should vote," without threatening their space or making them feel uncomfortable, but just in a way that feels like, "Look, we're going to meet you where you're at." A lot of people get really nervous, especially in California, where the ballot is massive with all the different propositions and the big thick book that you get. Like, oh my God, who are these judges? I don't even know. And just sort of make it a party, invite your friends over, divvy up the book, order pizza, make
Yep.
a game out of it. And it's not about convincing everybody there, but it's just about being like, oh, this person, they went to this school, this is what they represent. Oh, they got arrested for this at one point. Maybe consider that, that type of thing.
Huh,
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
that's
So
awesome.
how do people get involved with that?
Just go to nerdsvote.com. I mean, really, it's for us, it's kind of two camps. If you're just somebody who wants to learn more about how to get involved in your democracy and registering to vote, go to nerdsvote.com. We have all sorts of links there, not only getting registered but also just checking your address, since voting rolls get purged a lot, just making sure you're up to date. But if you are what we like to call a notable nerd, meaning a nerd with a fan base and following, just hit us up, nerdsvote@gmail.com, and let us know how you'd like to be involved with us. If you table at conventions, how you reach your fans, and we'd love to talk to you about how you can spread the word to them.
I love that. That's fantastic. You do so many different things. How do you keep it all straight? Right. You're run
Barely, barely.
right, you're running in 6 different directions all at
Hmm.
the same time. I would love to hear any advice that you would give voice actors, especially queer voice actors, as they're starting out.
Ooh, um, that's been such a tricky question, now, especially because when we started QueerVox, we were right in a post George Floyd height of DEI world.
Mhm.
So our messaging was more, not that you trade exclusively on your identity, but that you're not shy about sharing it, and you're kind of very forward with it as you're presenting your talent and training and all of that.
Mhm.
Now it's very much the reverse. It's like, let's make sure you have excellent training, that you're in impeccably good shape, and maybe hold back on your identity unless asked, unless you feel like you're in a safe space to do so. It's also about encouraging casting directors and producers and writers and showrunners and developers to think outside the box a little bit on what a queer or especially trans or non-binary person is capable of, and hire them for the cis or hetero roles, because they need to keep the lights on. And I often think of, like, so many of the incredible Black voice talent that we know that started in, like, the earlier mid-90s, who are huge names today, but they wouldn't be if they didn't play a lot of, white or, different ethnicities along the way, because there just weren't enough Black characters to be able to really build a career on. And right now, we, as a queer population, are very much in the same space. We can't just wait for that trans role to come along to make a career.
Mhm.
So I think my advice to those actors is take a deep breath, focus on the training right now, focus on being excellent, focus on loving what you do. It's never an easy road for anybody that does this, but especially for queer people in this moment, it's especially difficult to break through. The funny thing is like, all the casting people we talk to, we know they're on our side. Like, there's, 99 out of 100 casting directors we talk to are like, "Oh my God, yes, I'm so on board." But it's the studios, it's the bosses, it's the people in the C-suite who have their own agenda of like, let's shove that DEI in the closet and not think about it. So we really want our queer actors to find a way to weather this moment, knowing that the pendulum will swing back, and it will. Um, but that there's always, no matter what the identity politics are of the time, there's always room for excellence in voiceover. And if you're really good, you're going to get work. It's just a matter of that excellence meeting the opportunity. And that's where our job is, to make sure that people know that these people exist, and that
Yeah.
it's like, here's an exceptionally talented person right now who can do a,
Right.
Doritos commercial. So
Right. Right? That is the thing. It's like, yeah, I love that there is that safe space. And I love that you're being honest with people, as far as because times change. Like, I mean, it's politics change and it's you have to be safe. I mean, you're talking about like, yeah, make sure you're in a safe space. And
especially since so many of our members are not in LA or New York or Chicago, where, they're operating out of a little booth that they've put together in the Midwest. And yeah, safety, it's like capital S safety that we're looking for.
yes, yeah. I love that they have that community with you guys. What is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten as an actor? Is there anything that stands out? Obviously, I'm sure there's so many bits and pieces, golden nuggets here and there, but is there one thing or even two things that really stand out to you?
I mean, this is my favorite piece of advice. I don't know if anybody actually I don't want to sound egotistical. Um, I don't know if anybody told me this. I think I learned it myself. But truthfully, I do think this was such an important thing, and I learned this when I started doing anime, and just dubbing, is to recognize that you and everybody in that room, you're all coworkers. Nobody's above you. I mean, yes, somebody's your boss, but like, you're all working together to solve something. You're working as a team to create something. And with dubbing, it's so tangible, because it's like, you've got the writer, you've got the engineer, you've got the director, and you're the actor. There's the timing, there's the lip flaps. Maybe you as the actor need to shave a second off. Maybe the writer is like, you know what, we don't need that word. Let's get rid of that. There's all that interplay going on. The engineer's shoving things a little bit to the left or the right. You're all working to make this happen. And I think so many actors walk into every room, digital or in person, feeling like, oh, please love me and hire me. And there's that people pleasery
Mhm.
subservience that just comes out. And I mean, be respectful, take direction, like, obviously all of the professional things, but there's no need to feel that you are less than, or that you don't belong there, or that you can't just have a human conversation with somebody. Because especially now, I mean, I came up during the time where I would come into the voice caster and sit in the lobby, and I would see everybody and chit chat, fellow actors, you guys, or have a gig, and there'd be a break, and we'd meet in the break room, and we talk about where we went on vacation, chit chit chit. We don't do that. And so it's so important now to be able to, without forcing it, but just see the humanity in the other person and be like, "Hey, your hair color is really cool. Who did that?" Like that type of thing. And build that connection. Once I started doing that and just started treating everybody as my peer, my career totally changed.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love that because I mean we can even see that on our side where it's like people put us up on this pedestal and I'm like no like I wouldn't have a job without actors, you know what I mean? It's like we can't do what we're doing without other people. It truly
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all a collaboration, and if you can't play well with others then it's like
Yep.
then and we've also seen it the opposite where it's an actor comes in and the ego is like
Through the roof.
way too big, and we're like, "Okay, can we just all work together? Like,
Or even somebody that
same goal."
Yeah, or even somebody that just doesn't respect boundaries, we get those too. So it's like, all within limitations, but just recognizing, like, look,
We're all
there are,
human.
there are moments as a voice actor where you look at the script and you're just like, oh, I'm voicing a polka dotted monkey who is trying to stop a waterfall with lightning blasts. Like, sure, well, this isn't brain surgery. Let's all just, have a laugh, calm down. This is a good time.
Have fun with it. It's like if you are not having fun in this industry, do something else.
Right? Yeah,
Like go get a different job if you're not having fun
completely.
with this.
Well, we've got a speed round here for you, JP.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Just a couple quick questions here. So,
Awesome.
what is one thing in your booth you can't live without?
I could show. Well, yeah.
See it.
Oh,
But it's not air conditioned.
right. Oh my gosh.
That is
So,
brilliant.
like, if I'm on a Zoom, most times they can't see it, but I have it like right down here, and I'm fanning myself this whole time.
That's perfect. And that's
Really?
a nice big fan too. Like that
Oh
is,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, not
That's
one of those little teeny tiny ones. That's
because I do it. Like my booth does have a ventilator, but you can hear it, and turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off. Yeah, it's
Tricky.
a pain. So just having a little fan off to the side.
yeah. Especially now that we're in August.
Right?
All right. What is your go-to audition ritual or superstition if you have one?
I don't know if it's a superstition. Always record the first time you read through it. Record it,
Yes.
because sometimes the freshness of just reading through it the first time, there might be look. I fully acknowledge I Frankenstein my auditions. Like I'll take lines from different things, and sometimes there's that moment that it was like, wow, this had a wonder and an innocence as I was discovering it along with the character that was really good. This next line was crap, but this one was great. So
All right. Finish the sentence. The future of voiceover is blank.
Important. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean that sounds very doom and gloom, and it kind of is. But I also think that there's a degree of creative discovery in there. I mean, every art form goes through its own metamorphosis over time. Whether it's painting or dance or whatever. And I think voiceover is the same, and there will be aspects of our work that just by nature of technology and blah, 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 will just vanish and disappear or morph into different forms. But that doesn't mean that the craft will go away. And I think for the people that really love doing this, there's always going to be, I think sometimes, I don't think it's going to be quite this niche, but I think of the people who, love to get a camera with film and and just take beautiful photography and develop film and everything. Like, I don't know where you get that film developed anymore, but like, it is a craft, and it is, even if it's not hugely popular, it's a wonderful art form that people still embrace. And I hope no matter what happens to voiceover, that there's always going to be, the artisan people who are creating live, real voice to moving image. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. What's your favorite food?
Oh, pasta,
Me
comfort
too.
food all the time. Mhm.
Right.
And then do you have a favorite quote or saying?
I do. This one is also going to sound a little doom and gloom. I don't know. It's the vibe. It's the vibe. And it also comes from a weird place. So, I have no tattoos, but if I ever did get one that were words, this is what it would be. It's from it's from Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Okay.
At the very end of the movie, the Vision, Paul Bettany, is talking to the last remaining drone of Ultron, James Spader. First of all, these are two prestige actors, so um, and they're talking about as artificial, beings. They are talking about humanity, sort of in the third person. Ultron very cynically says, "They're doomed." To which Vision replies, "Yes, but a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts." And I think there's something, especially in these times, that can be so scary.
Yes.
Um, and we never know where we as individuals or we as a planet are done.
Right.
But I think there is something so freeing about focusing on making the time and the experience that we have for ourselves and for each other beautiful rather than long.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I mean, it goes along the lines with enjoying the journey. It's like it's not about the destination. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
So what is next for you? Are there any things that you can share? I know we're all under NDAs, so
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I'm straining to think of any NDAs that I actually have that are like, "Whoa, don't say that." I mean, X-Men season 2 is coming out probably sometime next year, so I can say that. I can't say what's in it, but I can say that that's happening.
yeah, love that.
Um, I'm also on my 6th season of Spidey and His Amazing Friends, so,
Good
still
show.
green gobbling it up. Yeah, that's the big stuff right now, but I think, now that the Smurfs, which was the big thing, has passed, for me, it's really about, getting back in touch with all the Queervox work and Nerds Vote and making sure that, that machine is running on all cylinders. And also next year, I can't even believe I'm saying this. Next year is Queervox's 5th anniversary.
Oh,
Uh, so so yeah, we have a lot to celebrate, a lot we want to roll out. So yeah,
perfect.
That's
Any future goals coming up for Queervox or Nerds Vote that you're hoping to get to in the next years?
I think with Nerds Vote, it's always about getting out the vote, and so Courtney and I have to meet up and figure out what our methods are going to be this year, especially with the midterms coming up next year. As for Queervox, we have a couple exciting developments that we're putting together. In the past, we have done a few speed meetings where our talent got to meet casting directors in like little 15-minute round robins, and it was all free of charge. And we would audition them ahead of time so that casting, knew they were getting the cream of the crop. It was absolutely worth their time to attend because these were people that were ready to be hired. The problem is that auditioning people every single time we do a speed meeting like this was kind of exhausting.
good.
So instead, we're developing this thing called Queervox Verified, which is basically a one-time audition. You audition for a status that once you have it, you have access to a suite of casting workshops or agent workshops or speed meetings or just industry networking opportunities, all for free. But with the guarantee for any industry professional that is coming in, they know that we have vetted all these people ahead of time in a variety of different mediums. They're ready to go.
That's cool.
So that's one thing. We've done consulting for casting for agents, for just development teams at video game companies. Now we're going to do, along with our sibling organizations, we're going to put together some consulting outreach specifically for coaching and teachers. Because we get so many coaches. We had a couple at VO Atlanta who came up to us to whisper what they considered the stupid question. It was not a stupid question, but because they don't know and they get nervous when they have students who identify in a variety of different ways and they're not sure how to teach them and address what the industry looks like for them, which might be a little different. So yeah, we'll be launching that hopefully very soon.
Very cool.
Excellent. Awesome. Is there anything else as far as personal advice or any reflections or, anything like that that you
Oh,
want to share with us?
sure. I think for me, this a lot of my experience this year has been valuing the gifts that you have in all the forms that gifts take, and being precious with them. There's sort of that you don't know what you've got till it's gone type of thing. Like, okay, sure, but know what you've got. Like, maybe don't wait till it's gone. And which goes along with the enjoy the journey. These are very trying times for a lot of people, and I think any opportunity we get to find the joy, to find the beauty, not as a distraction, but as a reinvigoration, like as an energy, a battery charger to be able to keep going and to be able to keep fighting for better times ahead. So, yeah,
I love that. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, JP. It was so many good little nuggets. I'm sure our listeners are gonna get so much out of this, and I'm sure you're gonna see an influx in people reaching out with both QueerVox and Nerds Vote. So
love it. Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. So appreciate it. Great. Always great talking to you guys.
You too.
Catch our next VoiceOver Casting Corner episode live on Facebook and YouTube. Check our socials or follow us for the latest info. Thanks for listening.